My name is Elena, I'm 34 years old, and for most of my life, my family had one very simple opinion about me. I was the responsible one. The one who had savings. The one with good credit. The one who knew how to solve problems without making them worse. So when my mother called me after almost 2 years of barely speaking and said, "Sweetheart, we want the family together again," I should have known better. But I didn't. I wanted to believe her. She told me it would be a small dinner at a private restaurant downtown. Just my parents, my younger brother Daniel, his wife, and me. 6 people. A chance to talk. A chance to move on. I almost said no. Then my mother started crying. "I know things have been difficult," she said. "But we're still family." That sentence had worked on me my entire life. We're still family. It had been used when my father needed money for his business. When Daniel needed help with his rent. When my parents wanted me to co-sign a loan. When I refused to lend Daniel money for a business idea that disappeared 3 months later. Family. Somehow, in my family, that word always seemed to mean that I was responsible for everyone else's problems. Still, I said yes. The restaurant was called the Marlowe. It wasn't the kind of place you accidentally walked into. There were no giant signs outside. No neon lights. Just a black door, brass handles, and a small gold plaque with the restaurant's name. The kind of place where the menu didn't have prices printed next to the special items. I parked across the street and sat in my car for a moment. I almost laughed. My mother had told me this was going to be a simple family dinner. I had dressed simply too. Black pants. Cream blouse. Small earrings. Nothing expensive. I walked inside. The hostess checked her tablet. "Family Parker." I nodded. Her smile disappeared for half a second. Not completely. Just enough for me to notice. "Of course. Right this way." She led me through the main dining room. Then through another room. Then toward a private dining area in the back. And that's when I stopped walking. There weren't 6 people. There were 23. My father. My mother. Daniel. His wife, Rachel. My aunt. 2 uncles. 4 cousins. 3 family friends. People I hadn't spoken to in years. People I hadn't even known were invited. And in the middle of the private room was a table covered with food. Not normal food. There were towers of grilled seafood. Prime steaks. Imported cheese. Caviar. Oysters. 3 giant seafood platters. And 4 bottles of champagne already opened. I looked at my mother. She stood up and smiled. Surprise. Everyone clapped. I didn't move. My father laughed. "Come on, Elena. Don't look so shocked." I slowly walked toward the table. "Mom," I said, "you told me this was 6 people." She waved her hand. "Oh, plans changed." Changed? Well, once your aunt heard we were having dinner, she wanted to come. Then your cousins heard. Then Daniel invited some people. Daniel raised his champagne glass. "It's been too long." I looked around the table. Nobody looked surprised to see all these people. Which meant I was the only person who hadn't known. I sat down. Not because I wanted to. Because 23 people were watching me. The waiter came over. "Would you like to start with champagne?" "No, thank you. I'll have sparkling water." My father laughed. "Still watching your money?" I smiled politely. Something like that. Dinner continued. And within 20 minutes, I knew something was wrong. My father kept ordering more food. Another seafood tower. Another bottle. A second round of steaks. Desserts were ordered before anyone had finished the main course. At one point, the waiter came over and quietly asked my father something. My father pointed toward me. "She's handling the final bill." The waiter looked at me. I looked at my father. "I am." My father smiled. "Of course." The table became strangely quiet. Then my mother reached over and touched my hand. "Sweetheart, don't make this awkward." I stared at her. "Mom, you invited me to dinner." And we invited everyone because we wanted to bring the family together. That's not what I'm asking. My father leaned back. You make good money, Elena. There it was. The sentence I'd heard in 100 different forms. You make good money. You can afford it. It's nothing to you. Your family. My brother Daniel joined in. It's one dinner. I looked at the table. One dinner. 23 people. 4 bottles of champagne. 3 seafood towers. Steaks. Desserts. And apparently whatever else they decided to order. I looked at the waiter. Excuse me. He came over. Yes, Could you tell me something? Of course. How much has been ordered so far? My father immediately interrupted. Elena. I ignored him. The waiter hesitated. Approximately. Yes. He glanced at the tablet. Before tax and service charge, around $5,000. The table went silent. 5,000. And dinner wasn't even finished. I looked at my father. He smiled. So? I nodded slowly. So you planned this? My mother frowned. Planned what? This. I pointed toward the table. This isn't a family dinner. My father shook his head. Don't start. No. I'm asking a simple question. I looked directly at him. Who told the restaurant I was paying? He didn't answer. My brother looked down. My mother suddenly became interested in her wine. And that was all the answer I needed. I stood up. I'll be right back. My mother grabbed my wrist. Where are you going? To the restroom. She released me. I walked away. But I didn't go to the restroom. I went toward the service area. The restaurant manager was standing near the kitchen entrance. A woman in her 50s with silver hair and a black jacket. She looked at me. Can I help you? Yes. I lowered my voice. My family is sitting in the private dining room. You don't abandon family when they're in trouble. I stared at him. Then why did you invite 23 people to dinner and secretly make me responsible for the bill? He didn't answer. I continued. You didn't ask me for help. You created a situation where saying no would make me look cruel. That isn't family. My father looked down. For the first time that night, he looked old. Not angry. Not powerful. Just tired. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. We're in debt. I stayed quiet. He continued. The business has been struggling for almost a year. My mother looked at him. Raymond. He ignored her. We're behind on the mortgage. Daniel looked shocked. You never told me. My father laughed bitterly. Because everyone expects Elena to fix it. That sentence changed the room. Everyone looked at me. I stood up. That's exactly the problem. I picked up my purse. I don't hate you. My mother looked up. I don't want you to lose your house. My father stared at me. But I'm not your emergency fund. I took a breath. If you had called me and told me the truth, I would have listened. If you had asked me for help, I would have considered it. But you didn't. You planned a trap. You ordered thousands of dollars of food. And you brought an audience so I would be too embarrassed to say no. My father looked away. I turned toward the door. My mother called after me. Elena. I stopped. She said quietly, Are you really leaving? I looked back. Yes. Just like that. No. I smiled sadly. Not just like that. I've been leaving for years. I just never had the courage to walk out. Nobody said anything. I walked toward the exit. The manager stopped me. Ms. Parker. I turned. Your check. She handed me a small receipt. Sparkling water. 2 refills. And the tip I'd added for the staff. I looked at it. Then smiled. Thank you. As I walked outside, I heard the restaurant door close behind me. The night air felt completely different. I got into my car. For a few minutes, I just sat there. Then my phone started buzzing. My mother. My brother. My aunt. Cousins. Everyone wanted to explain. Everyone wanted me to understand. Nobody wanted to apologize. So I turned my phone off. And I drove home. The next morning, my mother sent me one message. We are still family. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed, I know. And that's why I hope one day we can have a real conversation. But next time, ask me. Don't trap me. She never replied. 3 weeks later, my father called. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask me to fix anything. He simply said, I was wrong. It was the first time I had ever heard those words from him. I didn't forgive him immediately. But I listened. He told me the business was nearly finished. He told me my brother had been struggling too. He told me my mother was terrified. And for the first time, they weren't pretending. There was no fancy restaurant. No audience. No expensive food. No secret plan. Just a father admitting that pride had turned into desperation. I didn't pay their debts. I didn't rescue the business. But I agreed to help them create a budget. Not because I owed them. Because I wanted to. And there is a difference. A few months later, my family had another dinner. This time there were 6 people. My parents. My brother and his wife. And me. We went to a small neighborhood restaurant. No private room. No champagne. No expensive seafood. Everyone paid for their own meal. When the check arrived, my father reached for his wallet. I smiled. I've got mine. He looked at me, then smiled back. Fair enough. And for the first time in my life, paying my own bill didn't feel like losing. It felt like freedom. Because family isn't supposed to be a debt collector. Love isn't supposed to come with an invoice. And if someone has to trick you into paying for their place at the table, maybe they never really invited you to dinner. Maybe they invited your wallet. And once you understand that difference, you stop feeling guilty for walking away. I didn't lose my family that night. I finally learned which parts of it were real. And that was worth far more than $6,842. She nodded. Mr. Parker's party. Yes. I need to clarify something. She waited. I'm not paying for that dinner. Her expression changed slightly. I'm sorry. My father apparently told the restaurant I would be covering the bill. The manager glanced toward the dining room. Then back at me. Your father did mention that. Did he provide a card? He provided a card to secure the reservation. I nodded. Then please put the entire bill on that card. She hesitated. Are you sure? Yes. And your personal items? I've only had sparkling water. She smiled slightly. Then I'll put your water on a separate check. I pulled out my card. Please do. Then I remembered something. Actually, add a generous tip for your staff to my check. She smiled. I think they'll appreciate that. I walked back toward the table. Nobody noticed. My mother was laughing. Daniel was telling a story. My father was ordering another bottle of champagne. I sat down. He looked at me. Everything taken care of? I took a sip of water. Yes. He smiled. Good. He had no idea what I'd done. For the next 15 minutes, I watched them eat. And something strange happened. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to convince them to respect me. I was simply letting their own choices speak for themselves. Eventually, dessert arrived. Chocolate cake. Cheesecake. Crème brûlée. Ice cream. Another bottle of champagne. My father leaned back. That was a good dinner. My mother smiled at me. See? Sometimes family just needs to be together. I looked at her. I agree. She seemed relieved. Then my father lifted his glass. To family. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised my sparkling water. To family. 20 minutes later, the waiter returned. He was carrying a black leather folder. He walked directly toward my father. Mr. Parker. My father's smile disappeared. Yes. Here is your check. He placed it in front of him. My father looked at the folder. Then at me. Then back at the folder. Actually, he said, you can give that to my daughter. The waiter looked at him. I was instructed to give it to you, sir. My father's face changed. He opened the folder. I watched his eyes move down the page. Then stop. The total was $6,842. Before tip. His hand froze. My mother leaned toward him. What is it? He didn't answer. Daniel looked over. Dad. My father closed the folder. Then looked directly at me. What did you do? I took another sip of water. Nothing. You told them I wasn't paying. I told them the truth. His voice became quieter. Elena. I didn't order this dinner. My mother immediately started crying. Not loudly. Just enough to make everyone uncomfortable. After everything we've been through, she whispered. I looked at her. Mom, you invited 23 people without telling me. We wanted everyone together. You ordered nearly $7,000 of food. We thought you would be happy to help. You thought I would be trapped. Nobody spoke. Daniel suddenly pushed his chair back. This is ridiculous. I looked at him. You agreed to this. No, I didn't. I stared at him. You literally told the waiter I was paying. He looked away. My father tried his card. The waiter returned. I'm sorry, sir. It's declined. My father's face turned red. Try it again. The waiter did. Declined. My father pulled out another card. Declined. He looked at my mother. She whispered something to him. He shook his head. Try the business card. The waiter took it. A few minutes later, he returned. I'm sorry, sir. My father slammed his hand against the table. There's got to be a mistake. The manager came over. There doesn't appear to be a mistake, sir. My father stared at her. I've eaten here for years. I understand. I'll pay. I understand. I just need some time. The manager nodded. We can give you a few minutes. Everyone at the table had stopped talking. My aunt suddenly looked very interested in the floor. My cousins weren't laughing anymore. Daniel's wife was staring at her phone. And my mother was staring at me. She whispered, You're really going to let this happen? I looked at her. Let what happen? You know what? No, Mom. I don't. She wiped her eyes. Your father is embarrassed. I understand. You could save him. I nodded. I could. She looked relieved. Then I continued. But I won't. Her expression collapsed. My father looked at me. You're my daughter. And you're my father.